AITA for ruining my sister's trip after she faked documents to make me babysit? My name is Megan. In my family there are two roles. My sister Ashley is the golden child who gets to book non-refundable trips to Iceland for Christmas. I am the reliable one, the 911 dispatcher who works mandatory 12-hour shifts on holidays. My role is to be available. Hers is to be adventurous. Today she made our roles official. She altered the school document, naming me the guardian of her two kids while she boarded her flight. I just got the call. The school cannot reach her, and I have 30 minutes before they call Child Protective Services. Working as a 911 dispatcher is not a typical 9-to-5 job. We are the lifeline. We hear the panic, the desperation, and the worst moments of people's lives. Our job is to be methodical, calm, and precise. When the world is falling apart for the person on the other end of the line, it takes a very heavy toll. We are essential personnel, which means holidays are not a request, they are an assignment. My mandatory 12-hour shifts were already set for December 23rd and 24th. Missing them was not an option. It meant immediate disciplinary action and losing the holiday bonus pay. I desperately needed to keep paying off the debt I carry from college. I live alone in my apartment in Chicago, keep my life in order, and fiercely protect my peace because my job drains every last drop of emotional energy I have. My sister Ashley is the opposite. She is the golden child, the one who married well. She had two beautiful kids and always seemed to bend the world to her will. Her husband Brandon is nice enough, but he follows her without questioning anything. I love my niece and nephew, Emily and Logan. Emily is 7 years old, super smart and artistic. Logan is 5 and a whirlwind of energy. I love them. That is what makes all of this so much harder. My love for them has been used as leverage against me for years. The pattern was established a long time ago. I was the reliable one, the single one, the one without her own family. That translated into me being the default ATM and the default babysitter. I remembered my college graduation dinner. Ashley and Brandon had forgotten their wallets and left me to pay the nearly $500 bill with my brand new credit card. I remembered the time they borrowed my car for a weekend trip while I was in college and returned it empty on gas with a $30 parking ticket stuffed in the glove compartment, which of course I had to pay. I remembered the time they assumed I would drive 4 hours one way for Logan's 3rd birthday party, simply because I had no other plans. My plans, sleeping, disconnecting, simply existing after an exhausting week of night shifts, were never considered valid. About 2 weeks before Christmas, Ashley called. Her voice sounded unusually sweet. That high-pitched tone she uses when she is about to ask for something impossible. "Hey Meg, just calling to say hi. How is work going?" We exchanged pleasantries about the cold starting to set in Chicago, and the sunny weather over in San Diego, where our parents live. Then came the hit. So Brandon and I found an incredible last-minute deal to see the Northern Lights in Iceland. We are thinking of going from the 23rd to the 26th. A cold knot formed in my stomach. Ash, that is Christmas. I know. Doesn't it sound magical? Anyway, we need you to watch Emily and Logan. It was not a question, it was a statement. I opened my work calendar, even though I already knew the answer. I cannot. I have mandatory 12-hour shifts on the 23rd and 24th. I have to physically be at the emergency dispatch center. This was our first boundary attempt, the soft no. I already sent you those links for the holiday babysitting agencies, remember? You have to book them in advance. A frustrated sigh hissed through the phone. Megan, those agencies are charging over $50 an hour. It is ridiculous. You are family. It is the holiday rate, Ash. That is how the market is. You just sit around answering calls all day. You cannot just take them with you. The pure and utter ridiculousness of that request. Taking 2 little kids to a 911 command center. It almost made me laugh. It was a federally secure room. Ashley, I do not just answer calls. Last week I handled a serious multi-vehicle accident. I assisted a woman in performing emergency life-saving procedures on her husband. It is not just calls and it is a secure facility. The answer is no. Do not be so dramatic. I am talking about Christmas. She was minimizing the reality of my job. Look, it is not a big deal. Brandon's parents are busy all day with their church activities. Our parents are in San Diego. You are the only option. I am not an option. I said with a steadily firming voice. This was the hard no, the boundary attempt that was supposed to end the matter. I am not available. You have to hire someone or you have to cancel your trip. Cancel, Megan. It is non-refundable. It is a fortune. It is thousands of dollars. Then you should have booked a babysitter before booking the flight. My schedule is already set. I cannot and I will not do it. Do not be so dramatic. Her voice turned sharp and cold. Fine, whatever. We will see what we do. She hung up before I could reply. I let out the air I hadn't realized I was holding. I even felt a twinge of guilt, that ancient reflex we were programmed with, but I drowned it out. I had been clear. I had been firm. I thought that was the end of it. That was my mistake. I had set a boundary, and my sister interpreted it as a challenge, a logistical obstacle that had to be overcome. Fast forward to December 23rd. It was 11 in the morning. I was packing my duty bag for my shift. An extra uniform shirt, high-protein snacks, 2 bottles of water, and my noise-canceling headphones for my break. Holiday shifts are always the worst. More domestic disputes, more impaired drivers, more people feeling the profound weight of the season. I was mentally preparing myself for the next 12 hours. My cell phone pinged. It was a Google Calendar notification, an invite from Ashley sent just seconds ago. Aunt Megan, full-time babysitter, December 23rd to 26th. I stared at the screen, feeling my blood run cold. She had just sent it. I tapped decline so fast my finger was a blur. My phone rang immediately. It was not Ashley. It was an unknown number from the suburbs near where she lives. My dispatcher instincts kicked in. I answered. Megan speaking. Miss Megan Reynolds. This is Ms. Patterson from the front office at Oak Valley Elementary. My heart pounded against my chest. Yes, is something wrong? Oh yes, everything is fine. We are just calling to confirm who will be picking up Emily and Logan Reynolds. The school dismisses at noon today for the holidays, and we see that you are listed as the new primary guardian. The breath left my lungs. New guardian. I am sorry, I think there is a mistake. I am their aunt. Yes, miss. Their mother, Ashley, updated the emergency contact form this morning. She put you down as the authorized person to pick them up. The parents are listed as traveling abroad and unreachable until the 27th. She had done it. She had actually done it. She ignored my no and simply appointed me. Miss Patterson, I am sorry. There is a very serious mistake here. I am not their guardian. I never authorized this. In fact, I have a mandatory 12-hour shift at work. I cannot pick them up. The secretary's voice became hesitant, and I could hear the legal caution in her tone. Oh, that is problematic. Miss Reynolds' school dismisses in exactly 1 hour. We have tried to reach Mrs. Reynolds, but her phone goes straight to voicemail. If there is no authorized person here by 12:30, we have to follow protocol. Did I know what protocol meant? When a child is left at school without anyone authorized coming to pick them up, it is considered a serious situation. The school is required by law to call Child Protective Services. My sister was putting my niece and nephew in that situation. My mind started racing. I checked the clock. 11:05. Driving from my apartment in Chicago to their school in the suburbs was about 40 minutes with good traffic, which was never guaranteed. If I left right then I might make it on time, but my shift started soon. I had to be at my console, logged in and ready for the briefing at 1:45 in the afternoon. If I picked them up, where would I take them? I could not bring them to my apartment and leave them alone for 12 hours. I could not take them to the dispatch center. This was not just a nuisance. It was a calculated act of sabotage. She had waited until the last second. Knowing I was a good person, knowing I would not let Child Protective Services take my niece and nephew. She was using my job and my love for her kids against me. Miss Patterson, I said with a slightly shaking voice, can you please email me a copy of that form? The one that was updated this morning. I need to see it. Sure, I will send it to the email we have on file. My inbox dinged. I opened the PDF. There it was, the student emergency contact form with all my information. Megan Reynolds, my address, my phone number, and at the bottom a sloppy digital signature that was supposed to be mine. My hand was shaking. It was not just sloppy. It was arrogant. She had not even tried to make it look real. It was a statement of ownership. I can sign for you. I own your time. This was a serious situation. A wave of absolute, cold and sharp anger pierced through me. Right then my cell phone buzzed again. A voicemail from Ashley. I hit play. The background noise was unmistakable. The murmur of a departure lounge, the muffled sound of a gate agent announcing a flight to Reykjavik. Megan, we are already boarding for Iceland. I am so excited. Look, the kids are at school. Just go get them. School gets out at noon. The house key is under the same mat as always. All their stuff is in their rooms. See you in 4 days. Love you. Bye. The carelessness, that arrogant certainty, the absolute disregard for my life, my job, my explicit refusal. She did not even bother to ask. She just informed me. She informed me that she had volunteered me. I felt that old and familiar sensation, the feeling of being a doormat, years of being the reliable one, the one who just sighed and picked up the pieces. My family, especially my sister, mistook my patience for weakness. They mistook my competence for infinite availability. I looked at the altered document. I listened to the boarding for Iceland voicemail again. They were at O'Hare International Airport, probably 10 minutes from their gate. I had 2 choices. Option 1, give in. I could call my supervisor, beg for an emergency exception. Most likely they would deny it. I would face a disciplinary report and lose the holiday bonus pay. I would spend Christmas, that time when I was supposed to be helping people in real crises, seething in resentment, babysitting my sister's kids while she toasted with champagne and looked at the northern lights. I would be reinforcing her belief that my life was secondary to her whims. Option 2, hold the line. I opened the Human Resources email confirming my mandatory shift. I opened the school's official student release policy, the same one I had forwarded to Ashley 2 weeks prior. It clearly stated that children would only be released to the individuals listed on the form, and that if a listed guardian appeared unfit or coerced, the school reserved the right to contact the authorities. My sister was not just asking me to babysit. She was leaving her kids at a public school so she could go on vacation, and she was using my identity to pull it off. A moral question emerged crisp and clear. Why was I the one panicking? Why was I the one facing the consequences of her decisions? She had created this emergency, not me. My dispatcher training took over. The panic receded, replaced by a cold, methodical calm. This was an incident, and it required a precise response. Step by step, I called the school back. Miss Patterson, it is Megan Reynolds again. Miss Reynolds, it is 11:30. Have you made a decision? She sounded tense. Yes, I am sending you an email right now. You are going to receive 2 documents. The first is my official confirmation of my mandatory holiday shift. The second is a statement signed under penalty of perjury, stating that the signature on the guardian form is not mine, and that I do not authorize under any circumstances being listed as a guardian. My voice was flat and serene, the voice I used to instruct how to do emergency procedures. I am not an authorized guardian. I am not available to pick them up. The parents Ashley and Brandon have knowingly left the country and left their minor children on your campus without proper arrangements. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. Miss Reynolds, are you asking us to call Child Protective Services on your sister? I am asking you to follow the law, I corrected her. I am an unauthorized person. The parents cannot be reached. Your protocol is clear. You have to protect the children. I am protecting my job, which by the way is also dedicated to public safety. The silence stretched out. I knew what this meant. This was the nuclear option. This would start a war that would span across several states, from Chicago to San Diego. Ashley would paint me as the villain who ruined Christmas, the heartless aunt who let her niece and nephew be taken by the system. But Emily and Logan were not being taken by the system. They were being protected by it. They were sitting in the school office, confused and scared, because their parents had chosen a vacation over their safety. Their parents had put them there. No, I understand, Ms. Patterson finally said with a heavy voice. We will follow protocol. We will take the children to the holding room and contact the authorities. Thank you. Ms. Patterson is doing the right thing. I hung up, but I was not done. This situation required precision. Step 1, the school had already been sent the revocation form and my work orders. That cut off my liability. The school was now legally bound not to hand the children over to me, even if I showed up. Step 2. Documentation. I hung up with the school and immediately dialed the police non-emergency line. I identified myself as an off-duty 911 dispatcher. I need to file a welfare check report. There are 2 minors, ages 7 and 5, currently at Oak Valley Elementary in the Chicago suburbs. Their parents, Ashley and Brandon, apparently left on an international flight and left them without an authorized and available person to pick them up. The school is initiating Child Protective Services protocol, but I want this on record as a formal welfare check. The officer on the line took the report. You are a dispatcher, so you already know how this goes. I know, I said. I just want to make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. The parents created a dangerous situation. A report number was generated. This was no longer just a family conflict. It was a documented incident of parental neglect. Step 3. The airline. This was the final necessary step. I looked up the customer service number for the airline flying to Iceland, specifically the operations desk at O'Hare International Airport. I got a ticket agent on the line. I am calling regarding 2 passengers currently boarding flight FI 670 to Reykjavik. Their names are Ashley and Brandon. Miss, I cannot discuss the passenger manifest. I cut him off using my dispatcher voice. Listen to me very carefully. I am not reporting a threat. I am a 911 dispatcher. I am reporting a time-critical family emergency. Their 2 minor children, ages 5 and 7, have been left at their elementary school without proper arrangements. Child Protective Services is being dispatched to the school right now. The parents, Ashley and Brandon, must be contacted and informed that they need to return immediately to Oak Valley Elementary to take custody of their children. That got his attention. Left at school. Yes. They altered a guardianship document and left the country. The school has already contacted the authorities. You need to page the parents over the intercom and pull them off that flight. I gave him the school's phone number and the police report number. I am going to escalate this to the gate supervisor immediately. This is a very serious allegation. It is, I confirmed. Thank you for handling it quickly. I hung up. I checked the clock. 12:15 in the afternoon. I finished packing my bag. I imagined the scene at the airport. Ashley and Brandon, settled in their seats, maybe having a pre-flight drink. The gate agent walking down the aisle leaning in. Sir and ma'am, we have an urgent message from the ground. You have to come with us. It is about your children. My phone blew up. First Ashley, the caller ID flashed. I watched it ring and then go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. Brandon. I let it ring. A third call. My mother from San Diego. I tapped ignore. I put my phone on focus mode, grabbed my keys, my bag, and walked out to my car. I arrived at the dispatch center at 1:30 in the afternoon, right on time. My supervisor, Mr. Thompson, nodded as I walked in. Ready for the holidays, Reynolds? I gave him a slight nod back. Ready. As much as one can be. I sat at my console. The familiar glow of the 6 screens provided a strange comfort. My personal cell phone on silent inside my purse kept vibrating. I could feel it buzzing against my leg. I ignored it. A domestic disturbance call came in, followed by a highway fire. I pushed my family out of my mind. These people needed me. The other people, the ones who did not even know my name. When I finally took my break hours later, my voicemail was full. The first one was from Ashley. It was filled with intense anger. Megan, what did you do? They pulled us off the plane. They said you called Child Protective Services. They said the kids were left without arrangements. You ruined our vacation. You ruined Christmas. How could you do this to us? I am never going to forgive you. The second one was from Brandon. He sounded distraught, his voice pitching high. Megan, call us back. We are at the school. The police are here. Child Protective Services is interviewing us. They will not release the kids to us. Megan, what did you do? This is a nightmare. The third one was from my mother. Her voice trembled with disappointment. Megan, sweetie, your sister is very upset. They missed their flight to Iceland. She says there was just a little misunderstanding with the kids' pickup time. And you called the police. Couldn't you just help them out? Family is supposed to help each other. I do not understand why you were so harsh. I deleted all 3 messages. I found out later through the family grapevine about what had happened. Ashley and Brandon were escorted off the plane just minutes before the cabin door closed. They were met by airport police, who informed them that their children were in the care of Child Protective Services. They had to rush back to the school, where they were interviewed for over 2 hours by a social worker and a police officer. The school, following protocol, would only return the children to the parents after Child Protective Services confirmed their identities, and was satisfied that for the time being the minors were not in immediate danger. By the time they got their kids back, their plane was already halfway across the Atlantic. Their entire 4-day non-refundable trip to chase the northern lights in Iceland was gone. Christmas was quiet. I worked my 12-hour shift on the 23rd. I handled a multi-vehicle accident on the highway caused by rain and slick pavement. I took a silent call that, using the tap or text protocol, ended in assistance from authorities in a family situation. I went home at 3 in the morning, slept the sleep of the exhausted, and woke up on Christmas Day. My family's group chat, the Reynolds family, was a battlefield. My phone had been blowing up. Aunts and uncles I hadn't spoken to in years were chiming in. My Aunt Carol was the first. "Megan, my child, your mother is a puddle of tears. What you did was wrong. Calling the authorities on your own blood. On Christmas. Ashley just needed help. You should have called in sick." Enough. An uncle I had not seen in a decade added. "That is that cold attitude of yours over there in the city. So cold. Family is everything. You should remember that." Ashley, of course, had told them her side of the story, the version where I held a personal grudge and called the authorities to get her in trouble over a simple babysitting misunderstanding. I waited until Christmas morning, when I knew everyone would be checking their phones. I opened the group chat. I posted exactly 2 pictures. The first was the screenshot of the altered emergency contact form with the unauthorized signature, clearly visible. The second was the screenshot of my mandatory work schedule at the city's 911 dispatch center. I typed a single message underneath. This was not a misunderstanding. It involved unauthorized changes to the school form and leaving the children without proper arrangements. I was at my mandatory job. I will not discuss this matter any further. Merry Christmas. The chat went completely dead. The accusations stopped in their tracks. Aunt Carol never replied. A week later on New Year's, a small flat envelope arrived at my apartment. It had no return address, but I knew who it was from. Inside there was no card or note, just a beautiful drawing from my niece Emily. It was a stick figure of me wearing a big headset standing next to a Christmas tree full of lights. At the bottom, in the shaky handwriting of a 7-year-old, it said, "My aunt helps people on Christmas." Behind the drawing was a wire transfer receipt. Brandon had sent me $500. The description line had only 6 words. "For the next babysitting deposit." It was not an apology, not really, but it was an admission. It was the sound of a boundary finally painfully clicking into place. This whole mess taught me several things, hard but necessary lessons. First, no is a complete sentence, but sometimes when you are dealing with people who refuse to hear it, no, and here is the legal documentation of my refusal, is the only thing that works. Second, your job is valid, your time is valuable. It does not matter if you are essential personnel like me, a creative, or someone who works from home. Your time is not free just because your family does not understand or respect your work. You do not have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Third, protecting children is everyone's responsibility. My sister and her husband failed in that duty. They put their vacation above their children's safety. The school did the right thing and I did the right thing. Lastly, and this is the one that sticks with me the most, you are not responsible for the consequences of someone else's poor planning. I did not make them miss their flight. I did not call Child Protective Services out of spite. I simply refused to participate in their deception. And the natural consequences of their own actions did the rest. We did not speak for months, Ashley and I. The silence was heavy, but honestly it was peaceful. Eventually she sent a stiff, formal text message around Easter. "We are going to use a registered babysitting service for our summer vacation. We already put down the deposit." I replied a few hours later. "I am glad. I am happy you found a solution that works for you." The following Christmas, my phone was delightfully quiet. I finished my mandatory holiday shift. I drove home under a light drizzle that looked like distant snow and put my feet up with a mug of hot chocolate. My phone was on focus mode. My email had an autoresponder turned on. It said, "Unavailable for babysitting. Please contact the person you hired." It was the best Christmas I had had in years. Yeah. Comment. I want you to know that standing up for your own peace is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. Setting boundaries might feel uncomfortable at first, but it opens the door to real self-respect. You deserve to protect your time and energy without apology. True kindness starts with being kind to yourself and honoring what you truly need. I've seen how choosing responsibility for your well-being leads to deeper healing inside. It's okay to say no and still care deeply about the people around you. By respecting your limits, you create space for the calm and joy you deserve. Remember that your worth isn't measured by how much you give to others. I hope you take a moment today to reflect on one boundary you can set to bring more peace into your days. You've got this, and I'm cheering you on as you choose the life that feels right for you. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.